you know. Anyway, I like to bring the stream down as we get to the end here. I'm gonna play this as an Alan Watts clip, and then I'm gonna end it out with this. Let's go.
To live for the future is an indefinite postponement of life. You go through in your education a whole series of steps. The word in Latin, gradus, means a step. So we have first grade, second grade, third grade, gradus, gradus, gradus. Finally become a graduate. You've gone along the steps. But you're still doing it. So that when you become finally successful as the president of your corporation, you have a funny feeling of being cheated. You've climbed the stairway and you've got to the top, and there's nowhere else to go. And since you've never been taught to live in the present, you don't know how to. So an insurance salesman comes around and says, listen, I've got the very thing for you, retirement program, because when you're 65, you'll drop out of the system. And then you'll really be able to enjoy yourself, see, despite your prostate trouble, menopause, false teeth, and everything else. And the art of living in the eternal now is not taught in our educational system. And it's not taught because it's thought of as being feckless, irresponsible. It isn't irresponsible at all. It is everybody's duty, I could put it that way, to enjoy themselves. Because if you don't do that, you become a nuisance. You become aggressive, you become a robber, you become a thief, you become somebody who's trying to organize the rest of the world, that is to say, a power maniac, simply because you haven't learned the very simple, inexpensive art of living in the present moment. It really doesn't take an awful lot of energy to maintain a human life. If you really consider what you need to eat, what you need to wear, how much housing you have to have, it comes down to something quite simple. And the simpler, the more you have the capacity to enjoy watching a raindrop crawl down a window. But if you watch a raindrop crawl down a window and you think, my, look at that, everybody says, you're crazy. What are you watching a raindrop fall down a window? Can't you find something more important to do? That means, can't you make more trouble than that? So the mentality that doesn't recognize the importance of watching a raindrop crawl down a window is the one that is creating the trouble in the world today. Say, you are of no value, you're not even human, unless you're changing things, unless you're interfering, unless you're progressing. We confuse growing with progressing. Unless something is happening, a great operation, a new project is going on, and you're busy with it, we say, well, you're lazy. You're good for nothing. Because you are not working for the future. But they say, if you're working for the future, you're quite mad. So they don't work for the future. Just like a Chinese coolie works long enough to make some money. Then he knocks off work and he goes to the gambling joint. And he gambles. Or he smokes opium. Or just generally wanders around and digs the scene. And we say, well, that's awful. That's irresponsible. You can't do that. That's not maintaining the world properly. What do you think? Maybe that is maintaining the world properly. Maybe it's we who think that everything should be progressing who are destroying the world. Of course we are. By our Protestant ethic, by our notion of keeping everything in charge, it's true. We have a great initial success. We destroy diseases. We keep people alive, but on the end is the H-bomb to get rid of it all entirely. So these non-political people are saying to us, the trouble with you is you don't know what you want. You have a future which you're working for, but you're all wretch and no vomit. You promised yourselves that a good thing is going to happen. You keep promising, 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 promising. Even your money is a promise. It says on the dollar bill that the Treasury of the United States will promise to pay $1. What are you going to get if you deliver this and say, come on now, I want whatever it is that this dollar is? And they just can give you credit. Because it's paper, it's all symbolism. So all these myriads of so-called primitive people, like Amerindians, Mexican Indians, Africans, don't communicate with us, and we don't communicate with them, because they don't want what we think is the desirable good society. Well, some of them do, of course. So in Japan, for example, the Japanese have been thoroughly conned into the idea that the Western way of life is a great thing. And so they are, by and large, frantic industrialists. And so, as a result, the cities of Nara, Osaka, Kobe are covered in smog. Tokyo is just a madhouse. They're getting it. So the whole point is, the future is an illusion. The basic ideas in Hindu cosmology, that in the course of time, you go through the series of yugas, or the epochs, and you begin with a great state of affairs, and it gradually deteriorates, is a way of saying to people, in the course of time, things only fall apart. Therefore, get out of time. Get off the wheel of samsara, the rat race. So this underlies my idea of what I call the politics of diversion. Divert Western man from history, from the notion that he is in a historical process which is leading to something always better and better and better, but which in fact only leads to more and more destruction. Divert people from time by living a style of life which is timeless and which is therefore more attractive than life devoted to time. That
Life devoted to time. That is exactly where I'm at right now. I gotta get going. But thank you guys for being here with me, man. So true. It's hard to be present. It just feels like you're waiting for the times where it's gonna be better or easier, but we could be gone any minute. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Alan Watts has a thing about that too, talking about like if you promised, there's a version of you in the past that said that they would be happy if they got to where you are now, and then you get to where you are, and then you already have this future self in mind that you'll be happy when you get there, and you're just constantly working towards that, and there's never a time where you stop and be happy with where you're at. That's why my wife, she always reminds me of that, because it's like I used to do Uber Eats, right? Like there was a time where I started this podcast and I was doing Uber Eats, and I would do Uber Eats all night until like 2 a.m. And then I would sleep for a few hours, and I'd wake up, and then I would do the podcast, and I'd do a bunch of episodes and release them all. And when they were releasing, I was already on the road doing Uber Eats again. And it's always that thing of you have to kind of remind yourself of where you were and where you are now, and how happy you would be, how happy the past you would be with where you're at. You know, for myself, it's like I'd be so happy knowing I have a wife and a kid and I provide for them. If you told me that 5 years ago, 7, 8 years ago, I would cry. I'd be so happy if you told me that that's where I would be, and it's for sure. But then I get here and I'm just like, okay, start 2 channels and do the streaming thing, and I got to make sure the streaming thing makes money, and I got my revenue goals for this year and has to do better than last year, and you just kind of get lost in it. It's interesting how that works. You get lost in that type of stuff. It's hard to be present. Congrats on your beautiful life and family. Thank you. Even you saying that is like a beautiful life. Okay. Okay. Cuz I'm like, "Oh, but it's like all the other things though." It's like, "Oh, I got to, you know, I need to buy a house. I need to do this. I need to do that." It's like you just constantly feel like you're just waiting on that thing. But in reality, that thing's not coming. Like you're already here. You know where I got reminded of that recently? Me and my wife were talking about this. I've gained weight. Like since I don't know, past 3 years, I've gained weight, right? So right now I'm unhappy with where I'm at. So I have a personal trainer and I'm working out and I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And it's harder when you're at this age. It's like way different when you're in your 20s. You're just like, I'll drop 10, 20, 30 pounds like nothing. But when you're in your 30s, late 30s, it gets way harder. Fat is sticking to your body. It's like holding on for dear life. And I saw a picture of myself. I think it was like maybe 3 or 4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago, and I was like, wow, I look so good. And I remember at that point, I was unhappy with the way my body looked. So I told myself that right now, I can't be unhappy with the way I look because I know 10 years from now, 15 years from now, I'll look back and I'll be like, oh man, looked so good back then. I know it. I know it. So you have to know it. And you have to just kind of, and I guess that's kind of being, I'm talking about being happy where I'm at, but I guess that's also something of being in the present. But yeah, you gotta really be okay with where things are at and kind of enjoy where things are at. It's in a good place, even if you feel like you're not. I don't know. Anyways, guys, I got to get going. Thank you so much for being here. I really, really appreciate it. I'm gonna come back again tomorrow. We're hitting it up again tomorrow, 100%. I don't know, man. I really want to do a stream at like noon, but it seems like nobody's even around at that time. And I keep on starting later, and I feel better about it. I don't want to finish at like 11:30 the way it is now. I'd rather finish at like 9. So I'm thinking tomorrow I'm going to jump on at like 5 p.m. That's what I'm saying. You're off tomorrow? All right, so then I'll see you tomorrow. Daisy, Brian, Simple Truth, thank you guys so much for being here. I'm going to head out now. Really, really appreciate you guys. And I hope you had fun. Hope you had a good time. Anyways, let's finish it the way I started. I'm out of here.